Hello and welcome back to the Solving Library Crafternoon. I'm Mr. Zach, and today we are making drinking straw rockets. Very simple craft, a lot of fun to make, and a lot of fun to play with. I've already been trying it out, and it's awesome. So, very simple craft. Thank you for joining me today. We need simple crafts, so we need piece of paper, pencil, scissors, tape, decorating supplies if you want. If you don't, that's okay. And a drinking straw. I am using a stainless steel reusable drinking straw in this case. You can use a plastic one if you can still find them. And then also, we're going to need a deck of playing cards. But why are we going to need this? We'll find out later. Okay, so to start, we're going to make this straw rocket. So to make this, a ruler, as usual, is also very handy in this case. So we're going to make this straw rocket. We are going to use a pencil as our model because we know that the pencil is bigger than the straw. So we're good with that all the way around. So we're going to take the pencil and this piece of paper, and we're going to draw out most of the length of the pencil on the paper. Okay, so we see now we've got the pencil laid out here. We're going to take a second pencil because this pencil is just our form, and we're going to mark just a little ahead of the nose of the pencil there. And we're going to draw our line up from there, and we're going to go, we'll go inches, we're going to go about 2.5 inches, 1, 2.5. And then square that off back to the other side of the paper. So we made a very simple rectangle that is roughly the size of the pencil. And then before we start cutting anything, we need to make the fins. So the fins, you can see, are just two simple shapes. So we're going to take our ruler because it's nice to be precise in this case. You know, NASA just today sent off a rocket to Mars, which is incredible. So it's heading to Mars, and it's going to deliver all kinds of cool stuff there, which is just always so amazing to me. They're going to send a little helicopter up into the atmosphere of Mars to fly around. So we're going about 1/4 inch across. We're just drawing a rectangle, 1/4 inch by 1 inch. Very simple. So yeah, just to think that something right now is traveling through space and it's headed for Mars. It's like that's where it's going to go. Oh yeah, where are you going today? I'm just going to Mars. It's going to take a few months. I think it's going to take until February. And then, okay, so we have this very basic rectangle, which matches this very basic rectangle. So now we're just going to draw some fins. So we can draw those down. I like to, be a little precise about this. So we're going to mark off 1/8 of an inch on each side. And then from that 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch. I know it's not that complicated, but sometimes I complicate things. So we made some marks, and now we're just going to connect the dots, connecting the top portion here to that to create our little fins. All right. There it is, real simple. And then if you want, you can just draw to create a little bit of this little bevel here. Oops, sorry, that little bevel there. You can draw this down a little bit. Just depends on how much you want to complicate things for yourself. But I think it looks nice. It looks like a rocket ship. So let's make it look like a rocket ship. This may or may not go to Mars. Depends on how much breath you've got. Okay, so then we just do the same thing again. I know. But this one won't take too long because we now know what our process is. And that's 1 2 3/8. 2 3/8. 1 2 3/8. All right. And we're going an inch up. So yeah, if you were going to Mars and landing in February, what would you take with you, right? I mean, obviously you need food, but like, what would you take so that you weren't bored? Books would be good. You could take them out from the library, although I don't know if you get enough renewals, so that's something you'd have to keep an eye on. A deck of cards might be nice, but that's not quite why we need them today. I wonder why we need that deck of cards. Okay, so now we've got two sets of fins and a basic rocket body. So now we get to cutting. Scissors. Now, kids, if you're playing along, this is something for the adults to do. If you're not comfortable with scissors, always be careful. So we're just going to cut this rectangle out first because it's the easiest thing to do. Nice straight lines. And this, once we get this cut out, if this is something that you are doing with the little ones and they're not nimble enough to be using the scissors, this is where they can get involved on this stage, because they're definitely going to be able to get involved on the next stage. But this stage, once everything is cut out and before it's assembled, you have an opportunity for decorating. So we'll do a little bit of decorating just as an example, and then we'll get to building. But you can obviously, when you're doing it yourself, take more time to decorate. Oh, so we would renew books if you took that book to Mars. So that is good to know. So if anybody happens to be on that mission to Mars right now and is watching this Crafternoon, and you took some books from the library through our sidewalk service, you're going to be okay. We will renew those books for you. We would appreciate maybe just like maybe send us an email message from Mars, because that would be super cool. Okay, so we are cutting out our fins, nice and simple. Oh, there it is. We're doing the next set. I mean, what if you flew to Mars and you only had like one album with you, one record that you could play over and over again? That might be a little rough. Unless you love that record, Sometimes there's that record that you never get tired of. So that would definitely be the one to take with you. Unless you're flying with somebody else and you love that record and they don't, then what? Okay, so we've got this rectangle. Oh, we're gonna do a little decorating just for fun. So we're gonna decorate with some stripes on this fin. So again, this is just to give you an idea of what you can do to decorate. I'm going to shorthand this, but when you're doing it on your own, take your time, do all kinds of decorations. Now, we take the pencil that we used, and we're going to roll the rectangle of paper around the pencil, and make sure that when you do this, you're not rolling all the way to the tip. So we're going to leave a little gap there, because what we need to do is leave space to crimp the top there and create the nose cone. So we're just going to lay this guy down and start rolling to create our rocket. And nice and tight. If you can keep it tight is good. Okay, now while it's kind of pinned on the seam, Now, oh, see it unrolled. So I was too late. Okay, so it's a good idea to get your tape ready. Get a little piece of tape out. Just maybe a little on the edge of the table. You know that trick? There's a good tape trick. Take a piece of tape, and you can't see the edge of the table, but pretend this is the edge of the table. You just take the tape, put it on the edge of the table like that, so when it's time to take it, pop, comes right off. So tape on the edge of the table, so you can go hands-free or one-handed. All right, we're going to roll this back up again to get it nice and tight. Oh, yeah, okay, this is going to work. Now, we're holding this seam shut, and we're going to take our piece of tape and wrap it around the top. So that's the top side. We're going to do the same for the bottom. All right. All right, so now we have the pencil trapped in there. So we just kind of edge that guy out. Let's see if we can do that. Maybe I went too tight. We'll use the other pencil to drive this pencil all the way out. Okay, so now we have an open tube. So from here, we're going to start crimping down the nose, kind of create this little divot, little U-shaped divot, and then we can just kind of twist it around that. So we're making what looks like a little nose cone. All right, and then that gets taped all around it. Because this is very important that this part doesn't have any gaps in it, because this is what's going to capture the air when we blow through our straw. So we make sure that this is nice and tight, airtight. And we can do a little test run. So we've got our straw, make sure it fits, and it does. Okay, but it won't fly very well without its fins. So the fins are a little finicky because the, we've got a little gap here. Let's get that down with tape. The fins are actually more narrow than the tape. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to take a piece of tape and we're going to cut it right down the middle. And once you do that, it should, tearing, it's fine. All right, so now we have thinner pieces of tape because we need to be able to tape down the center of that fin. So you see, it's a little finicky, but a little bit of work, and then it comes together, and it's all part of the fun. And this is more like model building, thinking of it that way. Okay, so now we have our fins on our rocket. So we're going to take this piece of tape, and that is just going to go, let me get it on the hands. There we go. It's going to go right down the middle. Nope. All right, let's try that again. Okay, well, actually, that's a good lesson. It's easier to get it on the tape first, get it on the fins, and then let's get the hands in. Where are the hands? I'm still trying to get this right. Okay. And we're going to go right in there. Boom. Perfect. Okay, so we may need to do a little adjustment because you can see that some of the tape is still sticking out and might impede the fins because the fins are going to get bent a little bit so that it has good flying. All right. But that's pretty clean. So now we just do the next set of fins. And if this is going too fast, don't worry, because we're going to do another rocket because there's a reason that we need 3. Does it have to do with those playing cards? I don't know. I do know, but I can't tell you yet. Okay, so we take our fins. We put our tape on the fins first. Oh, see, this is going to work out really well. So we got our fins on our tape on our fins, and it's going to go right on the rocket body opposite the other set of fins. Sweet. Okay, now this one needs a little trimming just so it lays flat. And I'm discovering something as we're going, which is part of this process of crafting, is they go, oh, you know what, this time that I did it, because this is literally the second time I've done this, so I'm still learning. I'm like, you know what, for the third one, I have a different idea, so it's going to be a little easier to do. But for now, we're still good. So what we're doing now is we're bending out the fins so they're not laying flat. See, these guys I bent, and these guys are still flat. So we're going to bend those guys out. So now it looks like a proper rocket ship. Now I'm going to take a little bit more tape and just kind of reinforce the top here where these guys are taped down. And that is rocket ship number 1 for you and I. So test it again. Fits. You ready? Should we try it? All right, that works. Now, and you probably noticed, and this is what I noticed with my very first one that I tried, is it takes a minute. So as you're blowing into it, you're kind of, the air pressure builds up in the rocket, so it kind of goes, and then it flies. So that's something to keep in mind when you're using it later. All right, so we have 2 rockets now. Let's make a third. So we're practicing, right? We're getting our skills down, and we get to learn from our experience and develop a better method for the fins, because I learned something on that last one. So we're going to measure our pencil out again. Same process. This part works. And if you have a better way of doing it or a different way, go with what's working for you. You know, that's part of the discovery. Everyone's going to have their own way. There isn't necessarily a right way. There's more experimentation you can do with the shape of the fins, how many fins, the nose cone, how much tape, what kind of tape you use, the weight of the tape, the weight of the paper, maybe construction paper. I'm not sure about the construction paper. It feels like it might be too porous for the air, but again, something to experiment with, and just experiment with what you have on hand. All right, so now when I draw the fins this time, I'm still going to go 1/4 inch for the main thing, and then 1, 2, 3/8, 1, 2, 3/8 for each fin, but I'm actually going to go pretty tall with the, so I'm going to go, let's go 1.5 inches with the main body, and that is going to give us extra material to play with when we're taping it down. But that also means we need to mark off 1 inch, because that's where the fins are. All right, so let me just show you what I did. All right, so that is, those notches there are the 1 inch, and then there's an extra 1/2 inch there, and that's going to help us tape onto the body. So now let me draw the fins. That 1 inch mark is what gets drawn down to the bottom to create the fins. And then we're going to repeat this process for the second set of fins. So I think we're onto something here. I think I may have made these fins too narrow, but again, maybe it's just something to try. We'll just see what happens. It's all about experimentation. We're using familiar materials, 2, 3, that are 2, 3 readily at hand. So it gives us an opportunity to really experiment and have some fun with this. All right, so now we are drawing our center material. what did I do differently that time? Oh, I went 2 inches. See, and remember what I was doing. That's right. Easily remedied. All right. And we're drawing our fins. So this is a good indoor craft. This would be fun to take outdoors, depending on how much space you've got indoors. Testing this thing, it flew a good 20 feet the first time I tested this guy out. So these things definitely get a move on. So, and they put on some distance. So that's one of the things that you can do with it when you have these made is if you have more than one person making rockets, you can have a distance contest. So you can see whose rocket fires the furthest from their straw. Now that obviously will have a lot to do with breath control. So if it's adults versus kids, then adult may have an edge on that one. But it's still, you can still go for personal bests. It doesn't have to be a contest. But it's definitely something fun that you can do with these when you once you've got them built, is definitely see how far you can shoot them. And then from there, you can continue to experiment with different shapes and sizes. If you can find like those big boba straws, those would be a lot of fun to build a rocket around. So if you have your hands on some of those, that could be an opportunity. Or a very long straw from something like from a cafe or something like that. Those really long straws, you could use those to make a very long rocket. That could be kind of fun. You could use these rockets to send secret messages. You could actually, if you wanted to, write the message inside this before you roll it onto the pencil, which we're about to do again right now. So you could write your message, "Hello, Mars!" Exclamation point. And then you just, we get our tape ready first on the edge of the table. Nice, good little trick. All right. Now, obviously, to read this message, the next person, whoever receives it, would have to then undo all the tape. But, you know, if you've got a bunch of rockets, that could be part of the fun. You could maybe try and shoot it into a second floor window to send a message to somebody up there. An unexpected little hello is always nice to get. You could create a scavenger hunt for the messages. We love our scavenger hunts. Okay, so we've got the bottom taped, and we're going to tape up the top. Now, oh yeah, okay. And the pencil is free. Okay, so we've got our top and our bottom taped. I'm going to tape up the long edge here. And then we're going to start our crimp to create our nose cone. This is a bit more of an aggressive nose cone. Again, part of the experiment. One more tape. All right. So there's our nose cone. Nice and taped up. Hopefully it's airtight. Need another little piece of tape right on the very top of it, just to make sure that no air is going to escape. There we go. Okay. So now we just do our fins. So the fins, this is the reason that I did these extra long, is so now we can take a piece of tape, we'll tape up this side, but we'll also be able to tape around this side, and it'll capture that. What I think for the future too, what we could do is create a longer tab at the bottom, and we could do the same thing on the top and the bottom, give it a nice secure hold. I think it'll be okay as is, but we'll see. Okay, so now we're going to cut this tape in half in order to capture those fins. And then once we've got all 3 rockets made, and we get to have some fun. Not that this is not fun, because I am digging this thing. I really like this project. It's kind of like the ramp walkers that we did last week. When this thing flies, it's kind of like, wait a minute, this is like a whole, like I made this. It's like a whole different thing than I expected to happen. So it's these are pretty exciting. Okay, tape goes on the fins first, and then the fins go down on the rocket. Looks like a real rocket, doesn't it? It's kind of amazing. Okay, same on the other side. Tape. So we got tape on the fins. Fins go on the rocket. And there we are. And now we get to, now that we've got these elongated pieces up top, take another piece of tape, wrap it around those guys. For extra security. I like it. I hope you guys like it too. All right, so now we're going to bend out the fins. Give ourselves a little extra. Oh yeah, I'm seeing now that, yeah, an extra tab on the bottom would be really nice because it's lifting off the bottom a little bit. So good to know. Good to know for next time. Next time, extra tab on the bottom. Maybe it's part of the problem that we're bending the tape. So let's give ourselves a little slack. A little slack is always good when we're doing crafts anyway. Give ourselves a little leeway, you know? We're just crafting. It's just Crafternoon. It's okay. No high stakes. Just having a little fun. Just learning a few things. Just another opportunity to learn. Use some scrap materials. You know, see what we've got laying around. Okay. Rocket number 3. Built. Ready to go. So now what we're going to do, now that we have all 3 of our rockets, now we're like, well, why do we need this deck of cards? Well, I can't do card tricks, and I can play a little poker, but that's something you play for M&Ms later. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to build a little fort. Let's see if I can do this. See how steady my hands are today. Here we go. Okay. This may or may not work. We'll see how long this takes. It's been a while. Okay, so if the cards aren't working for you, we'll see if we can get these going. Oh, we're so close. That's definitely a dexterity test for the little kids if they want to play along. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. All right, plan B. House card. The cards aren't working, so now what we do is we take a piece of paper. We'll do this very quickly because it's going to take too long to... And we're just going to cut some strips, roughly the same size. Okay, nice and simple. So we're just cutting strips of this piece of paper because the house of cards is not going to work. And this does not have to be precise, just for funs. If you can make a house of cards, please do, and you will be able to use that as part of your game. So we take a little tape. And we roll these guys into a simple tube. More tape. How many? Do that table trick. It'll serve you every time. All right, so we're just rolling these tubes. And we are making a little fort because the Martians don't want us landing on their planet. And we have to fire rockets at our fort. Okay, so there's our fort. I'm going off mic. I got 3 shots. Let's see if I can get it. I'll see you guys in a second. Getting closer. There it is. All right. It took more than 3 shots, as you could probably tell. But that's the kind of thing that you can do with the straw rocket. Thank you very much. So this is fun. This is a very simple thing you can build. House of Cards obviously would work too. Have fun with these, decorating them. You can obviously put your team colors on them, depending on who's firing rockets at who. You can put your messages in them. I think I lost my one with the secret message to Mars, but maybe it'll make it there eventually. So that is the straw rocket. Thank you very much for playing along with me. These things are a lot of fun. Very simple. Very few materials. All you really need is that straw and then paper. That's kind of it. And then you can kind of do whatever you want with these things. Have distance contests. See how high you can fire them, which is a lot of fun. Secret messages, fort attack. So enjoy. Thank you very much for hanging out on the Solvang Library Crafternoon with me. I'm Mr. Zach. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. Thank you so much. And I will see you next time.